Hello mates. Okay, let's see. Can you hear me? It was getting annoying because I was trying to type down and the whole system was laggy. Tell me if the voice is okay. Okay, cool. So let's see. So we care only about, we have to be loose. So we don't want to bother that much and be slow and make a perfect head and whatever. We want to be fast so that we can probably try more than one idea. For example, you can suggest a topic, because I don't have anything in my mind. Feel free to suggest a topic. Okay. Where is okay, we have a chick with a sword. Hello mate. So where in what environment are we in? Okay. So in case we don't know, we have our subject. In case we don't know anything about these keywords, we may go to find some reference so that we can fill our head with some visual images to help us when we design. Not to copy the reference, just to take information. So it's a different aspect. So we want a chick with a sword in a cave, and we have to be loose, and while we keep the recipe in our minds. So we will need some rough outlines of our subject, some rough light and shadow to put down the lighting, and hello mate. And then we need some indication of the materials so that we can have all the important aspects down. Now let's do that roughly with line, because there are a lot of approaches in this way. The basic ideas, when you try to put outlines and stuff, if you want to do it directly and be loose, you will have to think, of course, the construction somehow, and be able to imagine and create cross contours like immediately, like fill the form as you paint it loosely, as you draw it. Otherwise you can be more slow, but the idea is the same. The good thing with digital, of course, is that we can endlessly play, move things around and stuff. And since this is a loose stage where we try to put our idea down, we can do as much experimentation as we want to find out the proper arrangement and stuff. Okay, so you can do a very rough state like this, and then then you can make it. You can turn down the opacity and let's say we want a little more detail so that we can have a rough outline, so to have some information visible, like what equipment this female can have. Or maybe she has some armor. No, it's just a loose way to put down some ideas quickly and to try to include all the necessary information for a rough sketch. The approach can be, for the approach you have a lot of different ways. The idea with this one is for a little to stabilize the idea behind what is a rough sketch. What can be the essential information that a rough sketch can have, so that you have enough information when you try to move forward with it. So we have some outlines here, then you can decide your lighting, like mark down roughly. You can keep in mind where the plane goes, starts to move towards the shadow, like so you can mark down the core shadow and then put all the other things around in shadow. Having the core shadow to be darker will also suggest that there is reflected light, because the other values will be lighter. But we are rough, we don't care about exact information. And then you also want to indicate some variation in the material. For example, these armor parts or and the bra could be of a darker material, so you want to put that down. it's better in such stages. It's better to work small because you have a smaller surface and you don't need detail, so it's more proper. But for now, let's do it like that. Yeah, so if you can make rough sketches like that and you do them small, because you don't have a lot of you don't worry about details and stuff, you can try a lot of different angle viewpoints and stuff. So you could quickly try to find maybe a better arrangement for this subject you have. Maybe change the camera, like you are viewing it from below or from above. It's a stage where you have to be rough, so that you can enjoy, relax and enjoy and search a lot of different stuff. Now, this information that includes the light and shadow, the material, it contains almost everything that is of importance. So, Mikal, let's see a little of that sketch you did. Okay, so here you have marked you have done some marks to indicate light via shadow, light and shadow here, which should also appear. Lighting should be consistent. For example, when you put this mark here, it means that the planes that are moving below, I guess, are going into shadow. So it depends on the light source, but probably there would be some shadows also in the eyes. Here in the cheeks, you can find the certain lighting settings have some certain shapes in some object, for example in the head, but that will come with time. It is all about the form. So there are planes here that go below, so since you indicate that these planes are going into shadow, we predict that also these ones are going down in shadow. I guess because he makes a magic now, I read it like that. Probably you think that this light will hit in the face, so that's correct. Probably I will have to. It will be like a flashlight. So let's say you have done something like this, where you indicate the important stuff, and you want to move forward, and let's say you want to approach it with grayscale. So you keep thinking the same. Okay, you keep thinking the same. You must remember that you have indicated areas of light and areas of shadow and materials and stuff, so that you can translate them in values later, and so create a rough value sketch. I don't see a lot of material indication in this one, because it seems like both face and here the clothing are of the same material. I don't see any, not exactly of the same material, but of the same local value, for example. But let's see. No, you can say, for example, that okay, I will have my. You can ask yourself, is the cloth darker than the skin? That's that's the local value attribute of it. Other than that, later you will think about if it is of a shiny material, if it is pure or whatever, I don't know. So, okay, let's try to do something with this. Or maybe, let's see, when you do a sketch like this, as we did before in that one, you can either scan it and put it in Photoshop and lower the opacity, or you can redraw it in case you have to be more sure about the you want to be more sure about the outlines, because if you follow exactly that drawing and render it exactly in these outlines, it will be the final object will be exactly as the drawing. That's what I try to say. So let's try to make it a little more detailed. For example, in this stage, after this rough sketch that you have done, you can go and collect references and try to find some references of some pose that is similar to this and stuff, and create a more detailed sketch. I'm not sure if there is just you have to maintain the ratio between the light and shadow. So if you have one material that is black, no black. Okay. Let's say we have a material which has this value in the light area. Like it has this value when we are in the light area. Now, let's say we have decided that in the shadow the value of the same material is like that. So now this ratio that you can see in the brightness slider, this difference from light to shadow, you have to maintain this in all kinds of material inside your scene. Of course there are extra stuff that alter this, like reflected light. Hello Richard, thanks man, I'm good, no problem. And yeah, Michal, you have to maintain this relationship in the brightness. Like if I have a darker material in light, I have to put it like so much below, so it will be black. That's what you have to remember, but of course you have to remember that the reflected light will alter the shadows. Yeah, no problem. Okay, well, let's see. Okay, you see when all the sliders have the same amount, the same amount, then you create grays. You are towards gray. The closer they are, the more gray the color. Now, let's say we have this. You have to imagine the middle line between the most intense, how can I say, the most I keep forgetting any kind of English I knew. So between these sliders that are far away from each other, you get the middle point between them. It's imaginary. That's your value of any exact color. So this would be here. Oh, it would be here. Yeah, that's the most here. In this one, it will be here. That's the value. That's the most important aspect of it. So whatever you do, you have to follow the value. Yeah, that's more. I'm not sure if it does. If it shows, like, if it analyzes how the RGB slider work to calculate the value. Saturation is it has to do with how would you say, the distance between, like, if you maintain the same brightness, and yeah, there is a benefit. I will go into this. For saturation, you have to maintain the value. Actually, you move the distance between the sliders, between the, I guess better. Let me show. I guess that's better than me saying it. In this tutorial you can find exactly how it goes. It has better English than how I can describe it. So you will see here, for example, it shows how you calculate the brightness. Here the saturation. That's the important stuff. It says to you exactly saturation determined by the distance between the most intense light and the least. So the further they are, the higher the saturation, and the opposite. So yeah, it will be better than I can describe it with my crappy English. So yes, there is a benefit to using a RGB slider. I guess it mostly has to do with the maximum, like you can easily calculate some certain colors, the maximum value they can get. Like, thanks, mate. Like, how to say? Because you can imagine where the value goes by the middle line. You can see at each color, each bright color, what value it can reach. Like, I'm not sure if this is possible in HSB, because I had found something strange with the saturation slider. You can manage it very very well, I think. I was finding that there was some change in the value because of the saturation. For example, if you check some images, you could probably see that as you would be moving in shadows, the saturation would go up and something like that, and it wasn't feeling as close to the basic, the fundamentals of it as it would be with RGB. Yeah, and also the variety of colors that you can have with RGB. But if you focus on values for something, feel free to change to HSB and do your work. But if you go with colors, it's easier. Yeah, it's a little strange because you can't predict some things that are simpler if you make your mind with RGB. Yeah. I was using HSB for a long time, and but until I found some more stuff, RGB seemed more easier. So, Michal, you can create your rough sketch and then try to either on Photoshop by decreasing the opacity of the scan, either in your paper on a new similar frame, recreate this idea, because you will do it again, and after seeing some reference you will do it more detailed. It's natural because you explore the same idea you had, but now you have it clearer in your mind. It will give you better handling for later. And I'm telling these stages because you want to start exploring more imagination pieces now. So try to do this. That's a classical approach. And you also, since you are redoing your subject as you move forward, you can then think more about new equipment stuff to increase the level of detail. Because in the first stage you were worrying about some of the overall aspect of the image. Now when you try to rework it, you don't worry that much about these previous steps, and so you have more free space in your mind to add more details, because you explore the subject some more. yeah, keep exploring your subject, and you will manage to bring it on a more detailed level. That's why at least in the beginning it's important to be loose, so that you can keep playing with it. Yeah, that's cool. I think I have read this one. Yeah. Thanks for sharing, mate. Also, if the background yeah, you have indicated, so no worries. You have indicated that it was it's gonna be darker. No, now I showcase a certain way that you can follow to be sure that you have stabilized some of the elements while you sketch. So to be more sure of your lighting and stuff. There are tons of different ways to approach. I usually now start directly with color, but the same. It's like I have all these ideas in the back of my head. So I simply, it's either you choose to put down in your paper all these marks to have as a nice guide for you, or you go and do it directly. So it's up to you how, but it's all the same. Hello, mate. For example, I would now where I place this value here, even if I was doing it with color, I would pick up a color. Maybe I would decide, okay, this cloth could be let's say, could be of this color. Hello, mate. So I could place this in the light, because I would have the whole image, the whole value sketch in my mind, and then I would go to shadow and quickly place a darker value of it, of the same hue. And to take it even further, I would also influence the shadows with ambient color and any kind of reflections. For now, I want to do it with value for a while, and I can probably later showcase a little of the direct color. But you have to have all these ideas in the back of your mind. So let's say that the skin will be lighter than this cloth and stuff. Sketching is is a very important step. We always have to encounter some form of sketching to present different ideas, and the better we are in sketching, the faster actually our work becomes, because sketching is actually putting down all the important elements for our scene. It may seem sketching may seem like unnecessary, but it contains all the important info, and that's why it shows how well you understand some fundamentals. These marks show that thing. And as you see all these steps, if you go directly with color, that's your way. That's the sure way to put down all the essential parts. Otherwise, you will let something else dictate your work somehow. So after playing with these ideas in mind, you can understand the importance of let's see. The really powerful sketches that the masters did. They contain everything, almost all the important elements. For example, here, let's see. It's very laggy, sorry. For example, here you can see that the artist has indicated with lines that follow the form. That's the magic of these contour lines, because when you approach a value drawing or directly with color, you know where the plane is because of these marks. If they had digital, they would be the best speed painters of all time. They made such great strokes, such great marks in the paper. They also indicated here highlights. So he puts down all the necessary info he will need when he will approach painting. If you learn to be able to do some sketch like that, you are almost finished. You can paint it with closed eyes. Flat areas without value change indication could be a flat color, for example. That's interesting also. So a lot of different parts, because they couldn't they had to plan before they went to approach a painting, so that because it's not digital, it's not that much of a flexible tool, so they had to make a nice preparation before they paint. Here, for example, all the necessary information. These sketches directly can translate into values, into color, and it contains all the, for every indication here refers to a certain part. I'm not sure if I can describe that very well. It's like you see these drawings and you imagine directly how the final piece could look like. So there is a deep connection between drawing and painting. You could say it's the same, but you do it firstly with this loose and cheap tool to avoid mistakes when you approach painting. And if you take these ideas into digital, you create very fast, because you understand the essential stuff you have to put down at the beginning of a work. So no matter, hello mate. So no matter what we do, we think of this. These are all the elements we need. We need light and shadow, we need some kind of indication of a material, and a good drawing to follow the form, a good structure. There is a logic behind. If you work with colors, there is the logic that because of mixture, a color is changing. So if you are in shadow, if you are in light areas, you have your color that will move towards the color of the light source. It depends on how powerful the light source is and some other attributes. And if you are in shadow, you have to take into consideration the ambient color and the reflections that reach the shadow, because we know that when direct light hits a surface, that surface emits light, it becomes a low intensity light source. Any kind of surface that receives direct light. So for example, light would come here, this would reflect this color into lower light planes. For example, in this shadow we can add some of this in terms of color anyway. So colors always depend on the overall, on what is happening overally around them. Yeah, that's a very nice book. However, try to learn what happens really in how to say, on a very fundamental level. Don't focus only on remembering specific lighting situations. For example, say, oh, nighttime, dawn, twilight and stuff. Try to find out the element that alters the color in each situation. Thanks, Omer. Well, we try to break out down some sketching aspects. I definitely not explaining this very well, but sooner or later I will find the proper way to analyze them. Thanks, mate. But really, I really try to explain that things are a lot simpler if we understand some of the basic stuff. So really understand that the color moves mostly by mixture. So in any, you have to think of the values so that you know in what area you belong. For example, you have to be able to identify that you are worrying about a color that is in shadow, so that you can calculate how the reflected light that reaches the shadow will alter your color. And when you are in the light area of that color, you have to imagine the color of your light source and see the intensity, and so make it to be reaching the color of the light source. If your light source is a candle, your light area will reach that color, for example. If your light source is a sun, it will go very high on like tints, the tints. And so that's why we usually see the more pure color in the half tones, because we have less. These half tones are less affected either by reflected light, either by the light source. Lol, mate. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid about. Don't think color theory as a mountain or something. You will learn some things from there, but keep in mind that there is a simple way that happens. It's a simple logic. You have a color and some other color comes into, and that's where the RGB sliders are very nice, because you see how your eye, each of our eyes contain RGB sliders. So if you have a color, let's say, and you have a color and the light source is white, it will increase all the color because it's white, contains all these colors of the spectrum. For example, if you have a candle, how we say it, in your eye, the blue cone will receive no signal in your eye because the candle doesn't contain blue, for example. So you have increasing numbers in red and green, because red and green is equals yellow, for example. So this, if you get the logic, it's very simple, rather than putting yourself deep into color wheels that you don't understand and stuff like that. There was a site a site that very on a detailed level explains the RGB, that will help you understand the science behind it and how our eyes are working, on what way. It will make all the things easier to grasp. But yeah, really spend some time to read some stuff. Let me find it. And of course, try to see videos in YouTube of basics of lighting. It's about photography, and you will start to understand how to arrange the light sources in your skin. It will make a lot of sense later. Yeah, that's that one. This one, in combination with what you have learned from Lin Rand's tutorial, will give you a lot of the necessary information. And a sketching stage is important, and it's important to know what stuff you are sketching, because you want to be able to follow that sketch when for example, you send it to a client and you say, okay, here how I imagine the scene, and if the client says okay, you have to be able to understand what stuff you have placed down in that sketch, so that you can move forward and not present on your client because if you don't understand, on a later stages you will present something on your client that doesn't resemble the sketch you sent in the earlier stages. Yeah, using 3D if you can, it's a very good way. Thanks for saying this, mate. I don't use it. I will try to use it next time. I just remember somehow the position. So the more stuff you put down in the sketching phase, the more relaxed you can be later, because you have solved the problems. That's what these stages are about. It is the stages where you decide the arrangement of the elements of our subject. We decide where are our light source and stuff. We decide the background. Is it lighter? Is it darker? We try to find out the overall image, and then we simply translate these marks into color and value. And if we know the basics, translating these marks is quite relaxing, and you also create some nice accidents, lucky accidents as you move forward. And even at this stage you are loose, so you haven't spent a lot of time. You can again keep refining your subject. You can keep up. You even from this stage you can proceed and make a more detailed, less rough version. Digital allows us to do that very well. These steps are not necessary. It depends on the level of understanding you are having. So if you feel like you can benefit from this process, you can do it. You can research your subject initially from a loose sketch, then maybe make some more a value sketch of it. I guess you understand by now the way we assign values. We have the planes, we did our construction stuff, we have the planes, so according to our light source we calculate, we say where is this plane looking. Is it looking at the light source? It will be in light. Is it looking away from the light source? Opposite, it will be in shadow. Is it halfway? It will be half tone. So we know how to assign our values, we think, as 3D artists. So So if you become very good in drawing, in putting down these elements, and you are able to somehow do this level of planning in the initial stages, or this level of planning, then you can be sure that you can create an image very fast. You can do it very fast, and because of that, if you can do such sketches very quickly, you will be able to explore a lot of elements of the same scene. Like we could now do the same. Let's say we go directly. Let's say we have understood all these rough outlines, rough light and shadow, rough material indication and stuff. And let's say we want to create another version of this scene. Let's say we want to imagine him from below and on an angle, because our client asked us for more sketches, like we want to see the mates from below, and like yeah, something like that, for example. But now I will not use line, but keep in mind that the thing we keep in mind is the lines. That's what I want to explain. So rather than using lines this time to indicate our outline, to indicate our light and shadow, I will try to put all the images together directly with values. I will not yet go into color. I will mention this later. So remember, as I place these values down, I keep in mind as if I was drawing at this point. So I don't worry, I can make this, but the good thing is we have already done a first sketch, so now the exploration is not it's faster, because we know we have already explored some of the aspects. So I can quickly make a head here. Maybe his hands will be right here. Some elements fine. Okay, mate, thanks for watching. See you later. Bye bye. So after you understand the essential elements of an image, you can then create your own preferred way of sketching. For example, some people use photographs. You could, because you know the basic elements of that build up a scene, you can take photos that will, for example, some photos could describe our material, like this is darker, lighter, and make a quick a quick combination of photos to create our rough sketch and move from there, but the same principles happen. Otherwise, if we don't keep these essential parts in our minds, we will allow the photograph to dictate our work, and so we will have stress, like we will not be able to do exactly the idea we had in mind, and we will allow the photograph to take us away from our idea. And so you keep exploring your subject. Maybe this angle, this point, this camera angle is better for this subject. So we try several things, and you can you now have more space in the sky, for example, or whatever the background can be. Maybe it's a temple or something. But I want you to understand that we think as if we were drawing, but in this case of direct value, for example, we have a dragon, but in this example it's like we have a magic pencil, but in this case, because we are on a digital medium, we can vary the size immediately of our marking tool. We can vary the value, some things that we don't have in the pencil medium, maybe in a charcoal, but I guess that's why they were using charcoal that much. But I want you to keep it in mind like that. So it's like I put multiple lines as if I had a pencil, but now because I don't have a pencil and I have a magic tool here, I place a bigger stroke to indicate these lines. Thanks for watching, mate. No problem. Have a good night or whatever. Bye bye. Να σε καλά. So we want the dragon here. Let's say it's his companion or something. So let's place the head here. But really, I want to pass this point. If I was doing this on a drawing, now that at this point, instead of what I'm doing here, I would be marking down the dragon, outline, construction. These lines that the masters do help you feel the form, like you are moving around the form, so you indicate a good amount of how the planes are moving. So I would indicate it like that, and I would also think, here is light and shadow, but with lines. You get the point. So at this stage I'm doing it with in this way, but I'm thinking exactly the same thing. So here probably wings, something. So I want light from this spell to be reaching the dragon here in these planes, and I can make my strokes to follow the form, as if I was doing these contour lines that we were talking before. So after you become accustomed to all of these ways, and you really understand all the necessary information about how values go, because okay, we may say that it's simple, but okay, it needs some theory to be stabilized in your mind. For example, to be sure that you understand how values move, how values maintain the ratio, the thing we said about the materials. Overall, you have to be you will do some training on on doing some grayscales, and little by little you make things to become second nature. So imagine, combine now, creative illustration, exactly. Actually, the books I read is mostly from Loomis, so that's where all the basics come from. But you have to also check multiple sources to be sure, and we have internet, so it's quite easy to learn, take some time to read some stuff and then try to apply them. Now you can imagine that after you understand all this stuff, the whole process becomes a lot more enjoyable, and you can create stuff on the fly. Like I could have you guys direct, or for example, how to say, like I would worry about technical stuff, and you can put your mind, close your eyes, and think all the details of the image, so that we can have a clear art direction of that image. And because we will not be worrying about technical issues, we can create deep images, because we then worry about our subject. We worry about our characters, their body language and stuff like that, storytelling stuff. But if we don't have the technical knowledge, things become tiring. So that's why we need good fundamental knowledge, and not superficial stuff. Yeah, I remember that one. Really good. Contains a lot of links. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, really take the time, make yourself that gift, and read some stuff, because you have to collect information. You decide what you want to research. You collect the information by reading several sources, and then you try to apply it. Otherwise, you will be studying without efficiency, and so you will be tired. I don't know how far I will go. I mainly want to know if you understand all these elements and how they actually inform you about all the necessary parts of an image. So you should be able to understand that it's very laggy. Yeah, so I really, you really try to make your drawings. Yeah, make stuff like you do with the construction that you do, the separation of light and shadow. Try to mark it down. I mean, you understand the contour lines, right? You understand how they follow the form. Try to also observe more master sketches as much as you can, to see how they make their lines as if they had their pencil and they were touching the form. And maybe do that in your arm. Take your pencil and move it around the form of your hand, to feel, to be able to feel this. And so your core shadow, for example, you are marking down this. This tells us that at this point the planes are moving are moving in shadow. So we have our core shadow here. So you can understand that such marks, when you will be doing this, for example, let's say you make this, when you will be doing something like this, you will be able to imagine it directly as if it was like that. This is our core shadow. It's black. It's the darkest, for example, so we don't have a problem. Here is our shadow, and here is our light. So you will be understanding this directly. This contains one material, because we have one material. Contains outline, rough outline, so we have marked down our subject. Contains light and shadow. So even if we take now a smudge tool to quickly make the form, make some blending quickly, and I think you understand how edges, why edges are becoming soft and hard. It's a matter of how the value change, how the contrast, because how the planes are moving. If you have a smooth change of planes, then you have a smooth edge. And I am saying about contrast because if you have two values to be close together, they can their edge, the edge between them is it's not that easily distinct. So even if you have a value that reaches the value of the background, you can merge that edge. Yeah, these are good. This contains a lot of information. It's nice. Here for the local value, you have placed these lines in the fire, in this flame pattern. But how sure are you? I mean, flame is a light source. It has luminance. So how sure are you that the flame will end up to be darker than the skin? Okay, I mean, it can be due to saturation, because you, for example, if you have you see from here that the powerful red it gets a middle value. That's its value. It will be like that. So you have a point, for example, when you make it darker like that. So yeah, understand this connection, and so the better drawing you can do, the easier your life will be. But as we said, it's the same when you do this, and even if you do direct color, it will be the same. Of course, I will try again to explain all this a lot better. But yeah, things are simpler. It's not that there is some certain logic behind all this. You have to become better at how well you can feel the form. That's important, because all these aspects are matters of form. So you have to be able to create different forms in space. Try to play a little with perspective, and start putting your forms into a perspective grid. Yeah, keep up with that. It's quite important. The construction will have to continue. So it's all about how you can feel the form and connect it, as if you are really try to imagine your pencil as if it touches the form, as if you are a sculptor. Lol, mate. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's things are simple, mates. I will try to make this as clear as possible. And because we imagine all this stuff directly, if we go with values, if we go with something else, that's where the concentration part comes into play. If you are concentrated and really understand what stuff you are putting down, the whole process can be done very fast, because you know what the elements you are putting down. It's nothing. You don't guess. The most time should be spent on how to solve our arrangement problem. So at that case, we think as photographers, and we say which is the best angle camera view for our subject, and stuff like that. Okay. And after all this become a unified process, you can then create freely and move stuff around, and then create something else and stuff. You can find images even from random saves. okay, we can try. I can do some like direct color even from this one. Maybe we can create quickly something. I tried to form a way to relax our minds when we go directly with color, and so the basic idea is since we keep these aspects in mind, these value aspects in mind when we paint, if you go directly with color, you will worry a little about okay, I want my skin to be of this color in light, so I will quickly put down this color in our light area, quickly. Then I will quickly put a lot below a similar color. I don't worry exactly to be accurate at this point because I am sketching. No problem, mate. I really hope I can explain this better at some point, but let's say we can get some first explanation on this. So you see, I move down in shadow. I hope you can see the similarity between this and this, even if it is with color. Now when I sketch directly, let's say I imagine here a sky or something. Wait, let's say I imagine a sky, and so I know that I will have this color and stuff, and so now I know somehow that I have a kind of reflection that will move towards my shadows and will affect them. So even I could even take this color and loosely move it here, affect my areas, and then take this color and place it lower, like bring it more into the shadow and keep playing with it. Maybe we will have some rocks here, something. These rocks, maybe it's a matter of concentration. Like if you think that you have a ground down there in the character that has this color, the light from above will hit the ground. This ground will emit a color of this temperature, and so this will also affect the planes that are looking down in the ground. So we have because the skin is also warm, we have increased saturation in these planes. So yeah, you can increase the saturation. Be loose, you don't have to worry, especially at these stages. But that's why the hierarchy of stuff is important, because we have to understand value to be able. At this point it's better to be zoomed out. But if you know that you are loose and you are putting certain marks down, you don't worry that much. Usually, if I am that much zoomed in, I will be forced to create details. So I don't want at this point. So let's say you can try whatever feels better to you. I used to work also in such sizes, but it is not always appropriate. It depends. Like now I want to be seeing the changes I do. So I want to be like in this size. That's what before we did a certain of sketches, and we went from line work towards a value sketch, and then now we moved in color sketch, and so we told about all the ideas that run in mind. So when I go, that's why this hierarchy is important. you have to understand, to be able to understand value, so that when you are doing color, all this process is in the back of your mind. So you don't go with value, you go directly. The good thing that when you reach the stage that you can go directly with color is that you have more design, more freedom in design. You have more elements to play with. But yeah, the value is you have to keep it in mind. So here I place this saturation because if I imagine that these planes are heated directly by light, I imagine this would be in halftone, so they would contain more of the local color. So they move away from the tinted version, so they contain more color, less white, there is less mixture. So you can loosely mark the areas heated by light with white or the color of the light source, I don't know, but be loose. That's a way that I am forming to be more relaxed when working directly with color. You keep pushing areas into light and into shadow. You keep thinking the influence, for example, what influence the reflected light has and stuff. Okay, there is no need to be moving so fast in the canvas. That's a mistake actually. But yeah, to show that you don't need to worry that much about details in the beginning stages. Hello mate. Yeah, it's easier. When I started working with colors digitally, I worked with RGB. Then I switched to HSB because I was focused on values. But now I turned back to RGB because I found this confusion with the saturation slider and stuff. Yeah, if you understand the logic, RGB can be easier for you because you can feel better how the mixture will change the color. Hello mate. You can use whatever you want, just keep in mind the basics as if you were drawing. So if I could even be a lot slow in this, and so imagine it as if I was drawing with a pencil, but instead of putting grayscale values, I would have a pencil that changes colors, and so I create something, and you can achieve a lot of detail like that. And if you want to soft your edges later, you just do. No, I'm just going a little fast to indicate some of the ideas, but the slower and more concentrated one is when doing this, the better. So it's this is the way for direct color. That smudge brush is I have assigned one brush from James Jones. This is this hairy brush. You can find it. It's from Jamie Jones brushes. I have assigned that to the smudge tool. Sample all layers. 35% strength. It diffuses the edge, so it helps me quickly diffuse the edge, make it soft. 35% strength. I can't remember. Sorry, I have done so much duplicates, so I can't remember. It's below. You will find it by its appearance. It's this hair brush below these construction brushes, these strange constructs. It's somewhere below this. Lol, mate. Yeah, so you push the light areas with influenced by the light source color, and you move the shadows towards dark, and you take care of the influence that the reflected light has, so that you can quickly reach all the necessary stages of your sketch. Sorry mate, it's quite laggy. Today the internet connection is not that good. Sorry for that. And after you push these things, at some point you have it is easier for you to keep adding details and play the influence, like you will imagine what stuff these planes are receiving, what the reflected light and stuff. A crane? Ah, yeah. How to do this? Okay, mate, we'll save it. No problem. But yeah, so when you go direct, you have to keep thinking all the elements together, and so you're thinking that you have to make your outlines more detailed and keep refining. Yeah. So there are a lot of ways you can approach something. So you could even provide such rough color sketches, and then move towards making a clear drawing to have as a guide. But in the final, you can maintain all these colors. So I can then create a detailed drawing of this to have nice shapes and stuff. Since I have identified all the important things, I can then spend some time relaxed, creating more details. Line as a tool is really good at indicating the details. Yeah, I was using that in some old images as a way to color the grayscale. It's a really cool way to use it, but as a standalone way, because I was using mostly gradient map, the result was some images towards limited color palette, and that's logical because I didn't knew how to actually work with colors. I didn't knew back then the idea of mixture, like these planes are facing are in the shadow, so they got influenced by reflected light, and so they will be altered and stuff like that. But sooner or later, that's the good thing of playing with all these tools, because later, after you have a solid base, you can find a proper way to utilize these tools and make your work faster and easier. So you see here, for example, if you provide your client with this sketch, for example, if they accept such sketches, and he says okay, move forward with this, then if you worry about how to make details and stuff, you can utilize line, and in this sketch you have indicated important information to use in your line work, so you will know that this area here in the arm will have this value and color. It's like you have put down the important stuff, but not the shape in this color graph. But here you have shape. So it's a matter of going or thinking back and forward these things. Maybe I could detail it right now. So I have the drawing here, and let's see if I can make it. Yeah, and that flexibility makes the whole process really enjoyable. You only worry that much about the subject matter and the overall design. Thanks for sharing, mate. That's another speed painting group. Yeah. After work, after I have more time, I will go back to all of these. But yeah, you can try out these speed painting things. It's not that much about the time limit. It's about using it to see yourself, because don't worry about competition and stuff like that. It's about seeing how much you know, and so if you know stuff, you can do it fast. It's an indication. Like, if you don't know, it's a sign that you should go back to fundamentals. There is no magic. There is no thing like, if you know more stuff, if you start understanding more stuff, your work will become faster, because you don't worry every time about how stuff will appear in this kind of lighting setting, and so you don't spend much time figuring this out. These speed painting groups are very good at for using them to see where you stand, but use it not as a discouragement tool, more as a thing to understand that I have to learn more to be able to be faster. So if you feel that you need more training to be faster, then avoid them, rather than trying to be fast and stuck on a competition, on a useless competition, because you will end up making fast images without knowing, just to say that you do fast images or something. Yeah. Yeah, that's good, because you understand that you have to make some training. That's why I was also doing the speed paints for a while. I realized that something is wrong with my process at that point, and then used that time to figure out new process methods, simplify all the needed information that I have to put, and so I managed to research the whole sketching field, like that had the answer as of how to work faster and freely rather than depend on something else. So I think with this you kind of understand how you add more detail. Like it's like you, after some point you start thinking like that. Even if you don't draw it, you start thinking like that, so that you can make more accurate shapes and describe your object more accurate, in a more accurate way. Yeah, okay. I may add them. Hello mate, close by. Okay, let's see. With a castle in the sky, okay. So we want to get rid of this for now. Of course, if you take it more slowly and good night mate, thanks for watching. If you take it more slowly, be more accurate, you can do it detailed quite fast. But okay, now because I try to showcase these things, I wanted to make it a little more fast forward like. But yeah. So I think I have to push the castle more back, more towards the back. So decrease the contrast of it. Make it can be out of focus. Yeah, definitely. But let's first create the overall idea of it and then turn it to blurred version, because after that it will be hard to work on it anymore. It will be harder. Thanks, mate. It's mostly because we maintained the differences between light and shadow, and we also added the influence of the ambient. So the whole skin, no matter how rough, it is also unified. So it kind of looks like it belongs together. But yeah, it needs more refinement, and but I want you to be able to imagine how faster you could go if you could describe all this image on a drawing, or you could be a little more slow with color and still do it. But I really want you to imagine what would happen if you had all the necessary elements down. with several kinds of marks. Of course, instead of going only with a round brush, if you do all these steps directly, for example, if you go with color directly and follow, introduce a variety of brushes, the image will be very interesting. It will have a nice amount of variety. It will be more finished, even without being that much detailed. And so little by little you will also start making sense of the artworks of Jamie Jones and Craig Mullins and whatever, because the brushes will be for variety while having the same ideas. So you understand that the brush doesn't make the image in this case, because you see it's all about the markings. So if you have a forest scene, for example, and you know that if you were to draw the leaves and stuff with a pencil, if you have a brush that can imitate that, then it's easier. Yeah. Thanks for watching, mate. No problem. Bye bye. Yeah, I was watching anime, but I didn't have a lot of time lately. But sometime I want to go back to it. I will check it out later. Yeah, Petri, I have seen some of your stuff. Very nice. I see that you are moving forward, working more with the values and stuff. Keep it up, mate. Yeah, but it's up to you to decide the exact ratio, because yeah, but understand that with very intense direct light, you also have very strong reflected light. But yeah, the separation, it is called also hard light, so the separation is visible. That's why it's good to keep pushing things towards light and towards shadow, even if you go with the value or with direct colors and stuff. Yeah, it's because we see it a little from below, so we see a lot of the upper sky, and from towards up we have let atmosphere between us, and so we see more of the space, like, so it's getting more saturated. We see directly, we have less atmosphere in between. Yeah. Well, you know, I get from the round brass, I get a strange feeling like I could be very loose. Like it reminds me that like, don't worry, be more loose. While with a texture brush, you may end up going into textures and details a little faster than it should. But yeah, I also use texture brushes also. And it's also faster because it doesn't utilize that much RAM. For example, now that it happened, you see such images, these anime images. What is the important thing here? Let's take this for example. Let's make a print screen, and let's go. We have this image now. We talked before about the important aspects of a sketch. So we have rough outlines, rough light and shadow, rough indication of different materials and stuff. So here in these images they have nice detailed outlines. They contain information about light and shadow. Here, for example, light and shadow, and also they indicate the materials. This is of that color, this 4 is of yellow color, the sky is of that color and stuff. So they put down these ideas in their middle value. So they don't use in between values, and that's the important. If you can draw something like that, you're finished. You can take this towards finish quite easily. That's what you should aim to do, and that's what we try. Like, if we make clear outline here, a nice separation of light and shadow first, and then we add the in-betweens, we are already finished. So it's important to also research some of anime images and stuff. I was doing some research with anime screenshots back then. I was taking some anime screenshots, and I was rendering up the image. I was trying more values, I was adding ambient occlusion and stuff. Hello Alec, no, I will stay a little more and I will go to sleep, but let's see what will you do like this one. No, in this I don't want you to be confused by this direct image, because here I utilized a method I did about not losing the difference between light and shadow, and so from the beginning towards this stage I push things towards light by adding the color of the light source or white, and then I push the shadow by darkening it and adding the influence of the colors. I'm doing it quickly, so probably it's a little confused, because before this one we went from a drawing, we created a sketch. From a drawing we then created a value sketch by following the marks that we did with the drawing tool, with a pencil or stylus and stuff. From there we went directly on a sketch with values, and from there we said that by following all these ideas that's what happens when we go directly with color. Essentially, how to say, we actually follow these patterns when we go directly with color, but instead of doing the value we think about all these aspects, and that's where it is important to know what you are putting down, what are the marks you are putting down. And so I have created a simple recipe. Maybe you can try to make some rough sketches like that. Try to do a sketch that will contain, for example, if you go rough at the beginning, you can do rough outlines, then you can do a rough indication of light and shadow, a rough indication of local values. For example, the hair is darker like that, darker than the skin and stuff, for example, like this. Let's see. Let's find that. For example, here you see from the gas, he indicates light and shadow. In this case, it's probably a little soft light, diffused a little. You have indication of the hair that is darker material than the skin and the dress. So you have to be able to make such marks, because this image can be translated into color easily. It contains all the necessary information. What else? So yeah, try to follow this recipe, for example, to make a rough sketch, and then even if you maybe after the rough sketch you want to create it a more detailed version, if you create more detailed version of it, it will end up being as clear as these anime screens, for example. Maybe you do it without color, so maybe it will be like that. And if you do that, you are almost ready. The further work that it needs, it's not that much. So from rough outline, rough light and shadow and stuff, you go to tight outline, tight light and shadow, and indication of materials. This 4 is darker in value than this helmet and stuff, and different stuff. That's the important. You already know the logic behind the values, so you know that from in several different materials you maintain the ratio from light to shadow. Also, you know how to assign values because of change of planes. So you know that when a plane is not looking at the light source, is in shadow and stuff like that. And also you know that that is not visible here. You know that when a surface, when the planes on a surface are changing smoothly, the edge can be smoothed out, like that, for example. So you know all the necessary info. So you can start creating rough sketches and putting down the important information. I think this, if you can make a sketch as powerful as this really, these sketches might seem loose and very rough and stuff, but actually they contain a lot of critical information. Here you have lines that follow the form, That's a very important information, because when you gonna proceed in rendering this, you know how the plane is moving because he made these lines that follow the contour, follow the form, how the cross contour, they follow the form. And if you can make more detailed drawing, you are almost finished. Here he has his outlines, a nice outline of his object. He has an indication of local values. The hair is darker than the skin. He throws down the important values, and this sketch can be painted very easily, because with paint you follow these values. Here, beautiful. That's all you need, actually. Yeah, maybe try to do some sketches like that. Keep them rough, and maybe then you can proceed into more details in whatever stage. No problem. I will really try to explain all this a lot better later, but for now that's what I can say. And even if you create such a level, for example, for a sketch, the idea is the same. For example, you can say, here, that's my sketch, and I want to create a more detailed version of it. So you can make more, you can keep drawing it, making it more detailed. Go there, be more careful. Maybe you know that the face is the focal point, and so you want to make it super realistic. So even if you have this base here, you can even use photos. The photograph will not dictate your work, because you have made a nice base to put everything. That's the importance of keeping the basics, because you can find then a lot of ways to make your life easier, and being able to move forward on a piece and forget this question about how do I create more detail in my work? How do I go from a sketch towards a detailed version? That's the answer to this question, I guess. I also used to have this question in my mind, and I was wondering, how do I go from a sketch towards a finished image without losing the power of my sketch? So you can, even at this stage, you can create a lot of details, extra details, and then you can render them. Maybe we can do it here, like, let's see. Again, yeah, I will add some dust particles then, but here, look, I now have indicated more planes, more polygons, so more details. So now we know how to proceed, how to take a sketch further ahead. You can have more fun, because you are not worrying about how the piece will evolve, because you can predict how it will evolve. And that's why at the end we understand that the most difficult thing we have to solve, it's the first stage, when we try to put down the idea, when we try to make the construction of our forms. So the rendering is not the hard part, but the previous steps are the hard part. Yeah. So I think this makes the most important of the points about sketching and stuff. I guess it's time to go to bed. So thank you very much for watching. Michal, I will save the PSD with all of these, and depending on its size, I will either upload it in Dropbox and send you, or something else. Thanks for watching, mates. I hope it contained something useful. So no problem. Have a good night. Bye bye.